Wherever you are in the world, welcome to day 2 of Bales and Buzzers. Welcome to the show. I'm Johnny Bell, also known as Buzzer. It's Ryan Bailey, also known as Bales, and we're delighted to welcome Richard Holdsworth, Performance Director at Cricket Ireland, on the couch this morning. You're very welcome, Richard.
Morning, both.
Welcome to the show. You're very welcome. And I know you say you're heading off to Australia next Saturday.
Weekend, yeah, I am indeed. So it'll be a late night, an all-nighter tonight, but off in a week's time.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be previewing that now on the show this morning. So, did you watch the cricket last night, Bales?
Yeah, it was more interesting games, but I think they again went as expected. You know, interesting from an Irish perspective to see how Zimbabwe went, and they fared pretty well. Valiant performance against South Africa. In the end, South Africa's strength just shone through, but I think Zimbabwe won't be the easy match that maybe a lot of people are predicting for Ireland. I know we're targeting that match as one of the wins we need for the quarterfinals, but you know, they've shown that they've a lot of strength in depth. So,
did you see any of it, Richard?
Saw a little bit last night. Yes, indeed. And you know, I think Bales is right. You know, we certainly wouldn't underestimate Zimbabwe, but you know, they put together a pretty decent chase there, and at one stage were certainly in the hunt. So. You know, we'll be reviewing that game as we do all games, and it'll be important to take all the positives out of that from our planning perspective. So,
yeah, because I mean, I suppose at 214 for 3, Zimbabwe, they were, you know, was still there for them. You
absolutely. And it's games like that that the lesser nations have to have the mindset to go through the pressure and go, look, if we lose a wicket, let's not panic here. But as we know, you lose a wicket, the rate can then start creeping back up. And is your tail good enough? You know, our tail's strong, but no, they made a good go of it, Zimbabwe. That'll give them some confidence, certainly.
Yeah. Amazing catch by Irvine.
Yeah, incredible catch to get rid of the Phillies. But I just said, as Richard was saying there, you know, it's so important that associates can be on top for some parts of the game, but they need to keep that stranglehold. You know, Zimbabwe get off to a great start with the ball. They had South Africa 4 down, but then Duminy and Miller, you know, brought the run rate up, and then they, you know, rebuilding and they got up to a good score. And then, you know, Zimbabwe were going well in the chase, but then, you know, it just sort of fell away. So I think it's worth noting from an Irish perspective that Ireland tonight against West Indies need to, if they can get on top, they need to stay on top for as long as possible.
Yeah, well, I look forward to previewing that now in a couple of minutes. But did you have a look at the other game, the India-Pakistan game? I mean, it seemed to be a good start for India.
Yeah, it was a great spectacle again, you know, full house in Adelaide, and India were, you know, they were always sort of the favourites for this game, and I suppose that came true. Again, Virat Kohli is a class act, and he's going to sort of underpin their batting performance, I think, throughout the whole tournament. Because
both those games are, of course, in our pool. So
absolutely.
Last night,
and again, good for us to look at that and see how, you know, Pakistan went. I think, you know, if they lose another game, suddenly that'll put them under pressure, and you don't end up with, you know, 3 or 4 sides that are way above the other 3, and if that gap appears, you're not under pressure. You go and play expressive cricket and you know, comfortable with it. But if you know, they've lost the game now, and they lose another one, and all of a sudden the pressure mounts, and you know, let's hope it's a real fight off in Adelaide at the end for us. Because we know what they're like when they've been under pressure against us before, and we've come out on top. So it's good to see. And you know, you're right. India, formidable side. Yeah, I thought they might get a few more actually, and you know, a lot of these games, 300 mightn't be enough. It'll be interesting to see when some of the sides start to chase a bit better. 300 might not be enough for a lot of sides. So.
Yeah. And I mean, there's going to be a lot higher than 300s in some of the games.
There'll be a 400 or 2, I'm sure. Hopefully not against
Ireland. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, on that note, I mean, I suppose it's time for us. It's probably a huge night for Ireland tonight, and it's great to have you with us, Richard. So, as the tension starts to build for tonight's game, and tomorrow we'll be reviewing that game here on the couch, so we're really looking forward to that. But your predictions, Richard, for tonight?
Yeah, look, it's going to be really interesting with the toss and to see what happens there and who bats first. Look, I think we've done a huge amount of planning and preparation around this. We try not to overanalyze things. The players need to play to their strengths, and that's what we'll be focusing on is our game. But obviously we do a huge amount of research on the opposition, which has changed. It's not the side that we would have predicted a few months ago. We know some of their top players have been left out of their squad, and one or two other lesser known players have come in, but they're talented cricketers. Anyone who's going to be in a West Indies side in a World Cup, clearly talented. Gale is the one that obviously everyone is talking about, and he's had a really poor form over the last few months, at least in one-day cricket. T20, different story. So he's a key one. He's not going to continue that poor form through this World Cup. He will be dominating at some stage. So we've got to bowl to our plans to him and make sure he doesn't get in. And similarly, keep them to a respectable total that we feel we can chase.
Yeah.
And likewise, if we're bowling first, that power play, first 10 overs key. We need to take 2 or 3 wickets.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, I think that the guys have prepared really well. We've had a much better bowling performance against Bangladesh, which was well needed. But if we can pick up 3 wickets in that first 10 overs, I think that'll put them under a lot of pressure, and hopefully we can keep them to well under 300.
Mm-hmm. Which, and of course, the game being in New Zealand. Wales, your own thoughts about
I think
tonight?
as Richard said, all eyes will be on Gale. The early wickets were tried to get with Gale, Dwayne Smith at the top of the order, but the West Indies have some quality players down. Dennis Ramlin scored 86 against Scotland during the week. So Ireland, like as we said, between South Africa and Zimbabwe, we need to, if we can get early wickets, we need to keep the foot on their neck, so to speak, and keep going and apply that stranglehold and restrict them to under 300 as best as possible. So because this World Cup, there's going to be a lot of runs, teams are going to be chasing a lot. So if we can keep that score down, it gives us the best chance, obviously. Yeah,
no, it's really going to be. I know there's going to be a lot of people tired in the morning after being up all night watching this game. I'm one of them, mind you. I have a 4-week-old baby, which keeps me awake most nights anyway. But so certainly tonight we'll be switching on the television and watching it, and we'll be sitting here tomorrow morning reviewing it. And I know for those of you who are already there in New Zealand, and it's really going to be a fantastic spectacle. Tomorrow morning we're going to be sitting here looking back over today, and we're going to be seeing what the result was. If we do win tonight, which is always yes, I'd prefer to say when. Of course I would, yeah. Richard. If we do win tonight, what does that mean? What does that mean for the strategy for the rest of our matches in the pool? Yeah,
I mean, look, I don't think the strategy doesn't change. That strategy is well planned, and the guys know exactly what it is they have to do. What it will do, obviously, is give us a lot of confidence. And UAE, we've played a lot over the years in associate cricket, so we know a lot about them. Playing on a very big ground at the Gabba, I think that'll work to our favour. The guys are incredibly fit, and we'd certainly be a fitter side than UAE. And then our 4th game, Zimbabwe. So if we can win this first game, it puts a huge amount of confidence and belief behind the players to say, okay, if we can beat the West Indies, we really should be, if we're on our game, we should be beating UAE and Zimbabwe. And if we can have 3 wins out of the first 4 games, we're going to be, it's going to be our tournament to not get through to the quarter-final. It'll be through our own doing. So that's, it's a key game. If we don't win it tonight, at the end of the day, the strategy doesn't change. We know what we've got to do. Yeah. We've beaten bigger sides. We've beaten 5 full members in ODI cricket since we got ODI status. And so the belief, and a lot of those players are playing in this squad who played in previous 2 World Cups and have been involved in those victories. So we've got the confidence and belief there. We've got to go and execute our skills. That's the key thing.
Yeah, well, we look forward to reviewing it tomorrow. And so come on, Ireland. We're all there for you. And for those of you watching tonight, enjoy the game. And now we're going to go to tweets.
All right, so as usual, we always like to hear from you on Twitter, and there's a couple of tweets coming in wishing the guys good luck tonight, the Hills. The very best of luck to all versus the West Indies. Another great chapter in Irish cricket starts, the best chapter, they say. The Irish Uni Cricket Association, good luck to Purdy and all the Irish cricket team who take on the Windies tonight. # flying the flag. So, Richard, just wanted to ask you, heading into the game, preparations have been good, but they haven't been ideal. We had Brett Lee in the camp last week in Sydney. How much has he been an influence on all the squad, not just the bowlers?
Yeah, look, huge. I think the mindset around going into these games, it's one thing performing as we've done over the years in games, but when you get into a stadium that's full, it's going to be a sellout this game. A lot of the other games are going to be sellout. We'll be playing in front of a big crowd. Executing those skills under pressure, keeping calm, keeping level-headed is critical. Now, Brett's got immense experience in that, so it wasn't bringing him in as a bowling coach to say, right, technically he's going to start working with Chase and Max and these guys. Actually, it was more about the mindset and saying, all right, when, I don't know if you saw the Big Bash, he played in that last game, that final. Bottom line is, I've got to bowl the last over, they need 4 to win, how am I going to do it? So talking through what his mind does in those situations, I think has helped not just the bowlers but the batters as well. What's the bowler thinking when I'm out there as a batter, and how am I going to go about this?
So putting them into that zone for those critical couple of minutes. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's key. He's such a nice guy as well, and the persona around him, I think he's given the guy some confidence and reinforced what Phil and Pete Johnston do as well, because it's nice to have another voice with a guy who's got a huge amount of experience to say, actually, in a different way, I'm putting across the same messages. And for our other coaches, that's been really important. Matthew Mott's another guy who's been hugely helpful, knows Australian pitches really, really well. Coached at Glamorgan, close with New South Wales, has been part of the Sydney Sixers side. He knows a huge amount and has helped the batters tremendously as well. So it's great for Phil to have some additional support there for the players.
Just on the batsmen, there might be a few worries going into this tournament about form, and is there genuine concern that maybe the top order aren't firing on all cylinders at the moment?
Yeah, there's always concern when we go into matches and we don't do what we know we can do. We'd like to get off a better start at the top of the order. We tend to have 1 or 2 players who come off. Actually, you want all the players to be firing. I think the guys are in good form in terms of their practice, their netting. They've done a huge amount of work. It's out in the middle to make it count, to say, we want to play with flair. We need to take a few risks, but they're calculated risks. We don't want to lose silly wickets. I think in that Scotland game we lost 9 of the wickets to catches. Bowlers weren't getting us out as such. We were actually playing too many high risk shots. So we've got to be a bit more calculated about that. But look, I think again and again under the microscope in the really precious situations, the guys have tended to come off more often, and that's what we've got to do, But it'd be great if Porty or Sterlo can put together a really good partnership, because that'll set it for the next guys.
Because they'd started against Scotland there during the week and been putting on 57 for the first wicket.
Yeah, which was encouraging.
Yeah, because it's a while. Because I remember the partnership they had against Australia in 2010. I remember when Sterlo went absolutely mad and he hit the first ball out of Castle Avenue, or the 6th ball of the first over. So it'd be great to see that, because that gives Ed Joyce then the chance to move on without anchoring.
Buzz, I think that's a really good point, because Ed too often has been coming in the power play, even in the first of the 3 or 4 overs. And actually where he's best suited and more comfortable is to say, actually, if we've set a decent start, he can then come in and play it around. He's got such ability, but he's got a bit more freedom to play. We're one down early on, he just, as you say, needs to anchor the innings a little bit more and doesn't play with so much freedom.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and let's hope it all comes together nicely tonight. Remember, you can get in touch with us wherever you're watching in the world, and especially if you're in Nelson, send us your tweets, your pictures, #bells and buzzers, or at theslogsweep.com. Also on Facebook, facebook.com/theslogsweep, and also you can get in touch via the website, theslogsweep.com.
Okay, that's it for today's show. Thank you, Richard, for coming in to see us today. Safe travelling next Saturday. Come on to the boys in Ireland. That's a Slog Sweep production in association with Currency Fair.